Yo, Salaam nerds. It's your boy Neeps, aka Watch with Neeps, and I'm here with Carlos from Agents of Fandom. Hey, what's going on, Carlos?
Hey, what's up, Neebs? Glad to
Good,
be here.
good. Thanks for being here, man. I'm excited to go over Blue Beetle with you.
Yeah, it's I feel like this is my time. This is my time to make the rounds on the podcast. It's like,
Yes. Well, we're happy to have you. Some of you guys might notice that Jazz is not here. Unfortunately, his cat passed away, sadly. So R.I.P. Scooter. So Jazz needs, he needs to take some time, but send him some love. Send him some nice tweets and stuff. He'll appreciate it. But hopefully, Carlos can pick up the slack, man. We're hoping that you'll bring some lots of knowledge for this episode because this movie's got a lot of references that went over my head, which which I which I love because I was in a theater with a predominantly, like, I'm from Jersey, so we got a lot of diversity. So I
sure.
was in a theater with a predominantly Spanish speaking crowd,
Okay.
and they were laughing at a lot of things that I didn't understand. So I'm really looking forward to diving into this.
Yeah, and I'm the background on me. I'm Puerto Rican, so while I there are references that I do get, like I did not grow up in a Mexican household. I did marry a Mexican woman and am raising two very half Mexican children. So I'll be there for some of the references, but even some of that stuff probably went over my head. Just
Yeah.
the differences.
I had to look them up afterwards, which was fun. It's fun to look some of this stuff up. But it's really cool. What do you know about Blue Beetle? Were you interested in Blue Beetle before this movie came out?
So all I knew really going in was that there was a Blue Beetle, a
Mhm.
Ted Cord Blue Beetle, the classic Blue Beetle and Booster Gold.
Right.
Um, and I knew that there was like a new version of Blue Beetle, Jaime, who had been around for a while, and was kind of sort of Miles Morales ish. Like we're going to give him a legacy, mantle. He will be the new Blue Beetle, but this is a completely different character and a different take on it. And I knew that he was younger, like Spider-Man age.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like, I would say that I knew that the origins were different. I knew that there was an alien aspect to this Blue Beetle, whereas the other Blue Beetle didn't get the alien tech like that. So
Oh,
yeah,
he was just a man in a suit.
right. Like yeah, he's kind of like Adam West Batman or something, and this is like alien Iron Man.
Yeah,
Basically. Yeah.
yeah. It definitely does feel like the nanotech and stuff when you see the costume.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So for me, like, I knew Jaime Reyes before I knew Ted Cord because I was a fan of the first of all, like, seen him in Smallville.
Mm.
That's where he first popped up. Then you see him in Young Justice, and I think probably even Justice League Unlimited. He may have been in an episode. So you get to see him in a few places. So I was actually more familiar with him than I was with Ted Cord. I did know about Ted Cord and Booster Gold. I knew they had these adventures, but I never, like, read any of their comics or did any of that stuff.
Right.
So it was it was cool to see because Jaime plays a really important part in the Young Justice storyline with the
Mm.
Reach. Right, they're one of the bad guys. It's a big storyline that involves him. So I got to know a lot about his character from Young Justice, which, great show, great show. So I don't know. This was really, really cool. Um, Before we get into spoilers, like, I just want to give my overall thoughts, and then you can give your overall thoughts of the episode. But I really enjoyed this. It was a fun, low stakes, uh, very enjoyable, very heartwarming, very, like, it just gets you in the heart kind of movie, and I really liked it. It had a lot of similarities to Miss Marvel,
Hmm.
which I really, really liked. And it's one of those things where, like, all of us immigrants really have the same story when you get down to it.
Yep.
Like, I think, like, you and me both talked about this a few times,
Yep.
and I noticed so many things to the point where, like, like, they followed the Miss Marvel formula, which I think it's great. I think everyone should. To, like, if you have a show about a Muslim Pakistani girl, you hire Muslim Pakistani actors, directors, writers, all that stuff. And that's exactly what they did. They followed the same formula and it was successful. It was authentic and people really, really enjoyed it. Um, I have not seen too many people who are of, you know, Spanish speaking or, you know, Latino or Mexican that have complained about it. They thought the representation was spot on. And
Hmm.
it was really, really good. If they say spot on, then I'm who am I to say anything, right? So it's perfect. So I definitely like that. I think more shows and movies do that. You know, trust in people to do the writing and the directing and all of that stuff. If it's their story to tell, I think that's very important. And because of that, I think this movie is great. Unfortunately, just really terrible timing with the strike because there wasn't
Yeah.
enough promotion and it hasn't been doing well. Uh, but I think this might be a slow burn, man. Like there are movies like Instrumental, not Elementals that
Elemental. Yeah.
sorry, Elementals that kind of had a small like opening, and then it just kind of snuck up on you. But I don't know if that's going to happen with Blue Beetle because I hear it's coming out on streaming really soon. So like they're not giving it enough chances to kind of really like pick up the space, and I feel like that's a mistake on streaming service and WB and HBO more than it is the fault of Blue Beetle because I think this character is fantastic. I think it was a great movie. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of him in the DCU. Uh,
Hmm.
hopefully, we get. Um, honestly, this may be probably my top three of the DC movies. It's up there. It's tied with Shazam, the first one, I think.
Hmm.
There it is for me, I think. Maybe if I watch it one more time, it might be even more. So definitely really, really enjoyed this movie. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So I'm in very much the same boat. This movie felt throwback to like this movie would have been perfect in like 2007, like
Yeah.
2007, 2008. It feels like a phase one Marvel movie,
Mm-hmm.
um, in the best way. I was I feel like the as with Miss Marvel, like the more specific you get into a culture, the more universal it'll feel, which
Yeah.
feels counterintuitive, but like I was scared that they were gonna do like the sort of Jaime, the Reyes family is just Latino, and we're not going to know which country they
Mm,
emanate from, but they very specifically said like we're Mexican. It's like okay, great,
right.
like let's see that then, and I think it's authentic. I think it really plays. You can tell that there were Mexicans on set. You can tell that there were people going, "That's not what we would do," or "That's we would be watching this show. We wouldn't be watching that show." Things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it feels very authentic, and I think that's what people are picking up on the most. Bringing that out of the theater with them is like this was a family. This was a cultural experience um as a movie, as like a pure like story. It's not like it's not changing the world. It's not breaking the
Right.
wheel.
It's low
um
stakes. It's like,
yeah,
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 I totally get that.
yeah. I would say that for the if we're including it with the DCEU, then I
Hmm.
do think that it's in my top, definitely in my top like three or four. I probably it's up there with Shazam. I probably give Shazam the edge a little bit, but it's in that ballpark. It's not in the, you know, it's not in the Flash ballpark.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's in the right ballpark. And
That's
I am
true.
also excited to see what they do going forward because I think they very deftly avoided tying themselves to any cinematic universe. They were just like,
Yeah.
other superheroes exist, and we're not going to tell you who's playing them because we're not sure.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
no idea what we're doing.
right, exactly.
So I totally get that. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm super excited and I'm ready to break down this movie with you, man. You ready?
Yeah, let's
All
let's
right.
go. Yeah.
All right, man. So we're going to take our first commercial break. And as soon as we come back, we are going to break down the movie and recap it. And then maybe at the end, go through some Easter eggs. So we'll be back right after these messages. And we're back, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. All right, I am here with Carlos from Agents of Fandom, and we are going over Blue Beetle. So let's get into it, man. This movie starts off with Carapac and Cord Industries, and they are in the Arctic right now, and they are looking for something, and they seem to have found it. And what they mention is Prometheum or something like that, which is the DC Universe's version of vibranium, which I thought was really, really cool. And they had said that something in space had knocked it off course to come to Earth, and it was a green light.
Let's go.
Green light. And they have confirmed that that green light was a Green Lantern. So we don't know which Green Lantern, but a Green Lantern, which was really, really cool. So definitely like that. There were cool little Easter eggs in the beginning where they showed like newspaper. They mentioned Dan Garrett and Ted Kord. So, Dan Garrett was the original Blue Beetle, and then Ted Kord took over, and then we get Jaime Reyes, right? So it's a little bit of all of that, which I thought was really cool. So the episode starts off with we see Jaime Reyes coming out from the airport. He just graduated, and he is doing pre-law, and his family comes and meets him at the airport. Now, I think like that alone just set the tone for it, because the way his family just showed up at the airport with all these signs and they're so happy to meet him was pretty awesome. Carlos, so what do you think of the beginning of the movie?
So I loved the scarab flying, like that whole sequence was great. Like when it flies through a moon and like it
Yeah,
explodes, incredible. That was awesome. And I love that I missed that a Green Lantern knocked it off course
yeah,
until I was on Twitter a few days later. That's all great. In terms of like family meeting him at the airport before like 9/11, when you could actually like meet someone like at the terminal, like I was definitely a member of those parties that were like, oh, my mom's uncle is moving to Chicago from Puerto Rico, and we're all gonna go and greet him at the terminal, like as he's deboarding.
yeah,
So that felt very, I was like, oh yeah, this all tracks. And not that Jaime was like away at war. He went to college. I mean,
right.
he's probably been coming home for holidays. Like it hasn't been probably more than a few months since I've seen him.
That's so true, man. I feel like that too. I remember once, so like I lived in Newark for a while, and there was like a little community there. And then I moved for 1 year to Arizona, and I think like a good 20 people when it came to the airport with us to send us off. It was pretty ridiculous back in the 90s. It was wild. But it's really, really cool. So Jaime lands in Palmyra, which is supposed to be DC's version of Miami. So they mentioned things like there's special tax cuts here, and because of that, like it's hurting the population there, right? So it's kind of like what's happening. It's industrializing. You see all these big buildings go up, and then it kind of turns the neighborhood that Jaime is from into I don't know, like what did they call it? They called it something. I forgot what it was, but it became like a little bit offsides, a little bit not as nice, right?
Yeah.
Until white people come and start gentrifying that area too, right?
It's such a great observation. Like Jaime and his sister are talking. They're like looking over to the skyline, and they're like, "That's where they live until they want to live here, and then they'll push us
Yes,
out of here." It's like that's absolutely true. Like Chicago is specifically like the north side of Chicago is like a tale of every like wealthy neighborhood used to be a Puerto Rican neighborhood at one point.
right.
Like Lincoln Park or Wrigleyville.
Oh
Those were
yeah,
Puerto Rican neighborhoods in the 70s and 80s, and in Wicker Park and Logan Square, like all of that. I grew up in Logan Square when it was a bad neighborhood, and now it's like a great neighborhood.
mm.
So yeah, that was a great observation. Like, yeah, that's where they live until they want here, and then they'll live here, and that's absolutely true.
Yeah, I love that scene with him and his sister on the roof. Like you see the neon colors and the neon lights, and it reminded me of when Kamala Khan and Bruno were sitting at the in top of the Quickie Mart or
For
whatever
sure.
they have, right? And he goes, "You're Kamala Khan. If you're gonna change the world, you're gonna change the world." And then she goes, you're gonna do whatever you want. You're Jaime Reyes, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
got the same vibe. And I was
Yeah.
like, yes, they're following the formula. I love this, and like really making me root for Jaime. And then Jaime's like, yeah, I am. And then they go into the scene where Jaime is like the owner of this huge mansion,
Right.
and it turned out that he is just the help, which
Yeah.
I thought was really, really funny.
Yes.
I
Scraping bubble gum off of like the chairs, and
yeah,
his sister keeps putting gum there so they keep a job.
so
That's good.
funny.
That's good stuff.
Oh man, I thought that was really, really funny. It cracked me up.
I kind of
Uh,
wish that Jaime had come off the like one of my kind of my main like issues with the movie, and it's not a deal breaker by any means. I'm gonna watch this movie a million times,
yeah.
but I kind of wish that Jaime had maybe come back from college thinking he's maybe better than his family, or thinking he's better than this. I just would have liked more of an arc for him. And it's like immediately, like, he gets off the plane, his family tells him, here are all our problems, and he's like, all right, let's go solve them. It's like, well, okay, but where's the conflict then? Like, where, like, you're not at odds with this at all. You're just like, yeah, we're just gonna have to work, and that's what we're gonna have to do. And I just felt like there was an opportunity there to give him something, so that near the end, when he's like, the love of my family is what makes me stronger.
Yeah.
Like, that would have hit hard if at the beginning he's like, I don't need my family. Like, I'm Jaime Reyes. I'm pre-law at Gotham.
Yeah.
So, but overall, like I said, not a deal breaker.
I think the reason they didn't go that route is because I just think they didn't have enough time to go through all of that, because they wanted it to be like a fun family movie. And I think that was one of the reasons where, like, we got to get people to really like this family and have them get along. But yeah, I totally get what you mean. That would have been really, really cool. Also, like, I don't know what you can do with a pre-law degree if you don't go to law school. Like, it's pre-law for a reason.
Right. You can be a pre-lawyer.
Yeah, pre-lawyer.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, we got some people in the comments. We got Derpy Entertainment saying, honestly, I wish this made more money because I thought it was really good and more passable than what we're getting at Disney Plus MCU shows. Yeah, I agree. I think it was really, really good. I do like how they portrayed Jenny. Jenny comes out smoking, and she just
I wasn't sure if we were going to mention that or not.
Yeah, I was absolutely. Like, okay, I was like, oh, okay, who is this? Interesting. And then, she's fighting with Victoria Cord, who is a sister of Ted Cord, who is the main antagonist, which is another Miss Marvel reference. Like, the main antagonist is like this like white lady who like no one likes.
Yep.
Who kind of works for a government and stuff like that. So I thought that was really funny. So she's having a fight with Jenny, and then Jaime decides to stick up for her while his sister's using the bathroom and taking a dump. and then Jaime sticks up for her, and then her sister comes out, and then they both get fired.
Yep. Immediately,
right?
I think it's interesting that I'm assuming Jenny Cord is supposed to be half Latina.
They say she's half Brazilian and half white.
Do they say that in the movie? Like, I couldn't remember. Okay.
I think her sister was looking her up after this particular scene, and she goes, she's Brazilian. So I was like, oh, interesting. So
I thought it was interesting that, like, Victoria is like,
like white.
She's pretty. Yeah, she's white, but she's also like, she treats the Latin help like they're not people. But her niece is her favorite niece is half.
It's probably because she's her only niece, probably.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think it's supposed to be assumed that Ted is white and his mother is Brazilian, and then Jenny would be half. But I think the actress is full Brazilian.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. So but they do mention that in the movie when Jaime was like stalking her Instagram, and then her sister kind of goes over her bio data. It's what we like to call it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, she's getting ready to arrange the.
I know
the match make.
Oh man, all right. And also, like, Jenny's fit in this entire show, she's wearing sweatpants, and I was like, I didn't realize there were sweatpants until the entire because she's wearing a blazer with them, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, that must be nice to just work in sweatpants the entire movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill Simmons has a phrase for that. He calls it pajama rich, where like you can
Yeah,
just go. He's like, he has season tickets to the Clippers. And he's like, there was some guy who was very wealthy and he was just there in his pajamas. He's like, it must be nice to be that wealthy. You can just walk around in your pajamas and it doesn't
yep,
matter. Pajama
pajama
rich.
rich. Yeah,
Yep.
what's that line from Kanye West? He's like, "Excuse me, oh, like no, excuse me, I'm in PJs because I just got off the PJ, like private jet."
I've had
Uh,
to delete all Kanye references in my brain over the past.
you're from Chicago, man. That's hard to do. That's hard
I
to do,
know
man.
it's so hard to
He's
do.
so good. He's so good, but yes,
I mean, it
he's
was
so
like my
problematic.
early 20s were basically just Kanye soundtrack, but
I know. My last name is Khan, and I should spell it Khan. Yay. Oh man. All right. So Jenny says she's going to get Jaime an internship or some kind of hookup. So he gets all dressed up, ready to go to this interview. And Jenny probably all just forgot about it because she's out there trying to steal the scarab. And she puts it in like a little burger carton. And then she gives it to Jaime, and then Jaime runs off with it. And then he takes it home, and that's where the fun begins. And it basically attaches to his face like from Alien.
like
And
Alien, yeah.
yeah, and then it like pushes him up to the ceiling like the Thing, which was really, really crazy. I thought that was really cool. The whole transforming, you can see like like the acid or whatever kind of like liquid that was coming out. It was coloring all over his face and his eyes. It was a little trippy.
So yeah, I had my kids with me, and they're 12 and 9.
Yeah,
But I was like, is this like too much? Like this is kind of body horror. Like,
yeah,
are they okay? And they were fine, but my son eats that stuff up. Like he loves it. But I was like, because this is kind of like we're halfway through an exorcism at this point. Like he's being
yes,
like flung around the room, and his like
yes,
skin is burning, and he is in clear pain as it's
yes,
happening. Like it's not it's not like a polite intrusion from the
yes.
scarab.
And I love that like the mom starts praying over Jeremiah when that happens. That's so funny.
Perfection. Yes,
That's
exactly.
so funny. I
Yeah.
love that. We got some comments. Michael says, it's rich person at leisure. That's what it's
Sure.
called.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And yes, little Kanye. Yes, I treat Kanye like post scroll roadie. That's funny.
Yeah, somewhere in a pod, there is a Kanye wearing like a pink polo and a backpack, being like, "What happened?"
Yeah. Somebody says nobody 3 a.m. George Lopez intro. He is a god in this. George Lopez. I don't know how people feel about George Lopez. Is he liked in the Hispanic community, or is he like not like? Is he like a Lily Singh, where it's like, well, like she's one of us, but like we're not super happy about her.
No, I've gone to George Lopez shows that were like bananas. It was like
Okay.
a riot. And actually, I went to a George Lopez show where he got drunk on stage. He was doing shots of tequila, and he had a kidney transplant, so this wasn't the best for him.
What?
But he got drunk. Yeah, I don't know if they're still married or not, but his wife gave him her kidney.
Oh
And then he
wow.
was like just drinking. Yeah, but he got drunk, and in his drunkenness, he goes, "Everyone, stay here afterwards. I'm going to sign autographs for everyone." And the police in the theater were like, "What?" like the security, they're like, no. But he did, because no one was leaving. There were 2,000 people there that were not leaving
Wow.
until they got their autograph. But yeah, people love George Lopez. But actually, he wasn't originally supposed to be Uncle Rudy.
That's true. Who was supposed to be the original?
If I'm not mistaken, it was Cheech Marin.
Oh,
Was
okay.
supposed to be.
It's really interesting because if you look at his car in the beginning, they have a Cheech and Chong little ornament on there, and they zoom in on that. So it makes sense. I feel like his character was kind of like Cheech and Chong, like same vibe. So I totally get that. I totally get that. That's cool. All right. So the Scarab takes over Jaime and takes on a I would say a shopping spree of all his little gadgets and doohickeys and a little test drive. I love how they take him up on top of the planet, which is a very like Superman-ish, but on top of the
Uh-huh.
globe where he just kind of looks and then turns off, like just stands there, and then he's going through these buses and then just completely just trying to test drive his powers. It's a tropey. Like look, let's be real. This movie is tropey because it's an origin movie. All origin movies are tropey. There's only so many ways you can do origin movies, right? So obviously he has the whole "I gotta learn my powers" thing, and I thought it was a funny bit. The thing with the car, with the douchebags that
Hmm.
the cars got destroyed. I thought I liked that. What were your thoughts on it?
I think that they were going through the greatest hits of Marvel origin movies. It was like we're going to go see the curvature of the Earth, like Iron
Yep.
Man does
Yep.
in Iron Man 1. We're going to chop a bus in half, like Shang-Chi. We're
Yep.
going to there was the one where he like falls all the way down to the water,
Yep.
and like then he just like stops there. It reminded me of Homecoming.
Oh
Where
yeah.
Spider-Man's suit is kind of doing whatever, and then like it was like Iron Man picks him up out of the water. It was just chaos, like the greatest hits. And I think you're right. Like the movie is tropey, and we have to also remember that this movie was originally supposed to come out on Max, actually on
Ah,
HBO Max.
very
This was
true.
not supposed to be a theatrical movie. This was supposed to be something we watched at home. And I
Yep.
think it got the upgrade, which probably gave it some budget for stuff like that sequence and probably the third act of the movie. But from a script standpoint, like this was going to be, this was kind of supposed to be a color by numbers sort of origin movie, and it was going to rely very much on the charm of the
Yes.
family, and it was going to rely, and once again, George Lopez, the God, like there's a reason he's in every scene of this movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
whenever Jaime's out on his shenanigans, there's George Lopez with him, because it was kind of like Ben Kingsley and Shang-Chi. It's like, no, you need to have him with you at all times, because he's one
Mm.
of the, he's the funniest thing in this movie.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah. Max said that it was developed for Max, but shot theatrically. That's pretty cool. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's supposed to come out with the same as Batgirl, so it was around there, like that level. I totally get that.
R.I.P.
Uh, yeah.
We were
Oh,
we were supposed to have Jaime Reyes, Latina Batgirl, and Sasha Kaye Supergirl all
oh
bringing us into
God,
the new generation of DC. And
I
now it's
know.
like Jaime, fingers crossed, Sasha Kaye gets to keep her job. But I wouldn't be shocked if WB just severs all ties with anything associated with that movie.
What's really annoying me is that they would get rid of chances of getting rid of Blue Beetle and Sasha and Batgirl, but they won't cut ties with Gal Gadot.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole other episode of this show.
The lady who's like, I get that we're killing Palestinians, but we got to think about this, man. Maybe sometimes it's okay. Like the lady
Yeah.
who said that, right? Just
I mean, the Wonder Woman 84, like
oh God,
there are a few movies that I'm like that I would actually go like that was offensive. And like Wonder Woman 84 was like, wow, we're just like full on 1980s Muslims are bad, huh? Like that's just what we're gonna do here. Like that's the play, but it's okay because she saves two Muslim children while they're playing like soccer in the street or something like
yes,
that.
with bad CGI, with
Right. Right.
it's not the fact that she is doing a white savior; it's the fact that she's doing it with bad CGI. That's the part that gets me. Like, at least give us something of quality.
Agreed.
It looks like Gal may have lied. She is not coming back. Interesting. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yes. All right. So let's go through this. After he tests out his suit and everything, messes up his Jordans, shows up naked, which is very inconvenient. Homie's gotta end up naked every time he transforms. They gotta figure something out for him.
When we were talking about Secret Invasion, this came up. We were talking about like, do the Skrulls, are they just naked and they're changing clothes over? Like, are their clothes part of their disguise? And we said, yeah, they have to be naked because I have spoken. But this is the one movie that's like, oh no, he's going to be naked every time he's out of that suit.
Yeah,
he will wake up. He's like a Terminator. He arises and he's
exactly.
naked. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw Jenny take a peek, man. She,
I like his sister be like, cover that up.
yeah, so funny.
I think his sister is like my favorite family member. I loved her.
Funny.
I thought she was great.
She was pretty funny. I really like that. All right. So all right, Jamie picks up Jenny and she explains everything about the scarab and how the scarab had to choose Jaime. So he has been chosen, right? So it's kind of one of those things, like it's not just an accident. He is special. So, the Scarab thing, something is special with him. So I thought that was really cool. But now they have to go and they have to break in to the factory to get a smartwatch for Jenny,
Yeah.
right? And we see Rudy, Jenny, and Jaime break into cord towers, which is really, really funny. And then they replace all the security monitors with some 70s Mexican TV show. Did you get this reference? Because I did not.
Okay, so this is one of those things where like I totally got the reference. I've seen this before.
Yeah.
I am not a fluent Spanish speaker, so like
Mhm.
it was not like it was on. I've seen it on at my grandma's house. It was not something that I like watched, but like I laughed along with it. It was like, oh, that's that this is funny, but yeah, it would it what would even be the equivalent like for like American English speaking audiences? I can't even think of like what that. Yeah, it's because it's like it wouldn't be like Scooby Doo. It's
Yeah.
not. It's yeah. It's more culturally resonant, but I can't think of like an equivalent for English speaking audiences.
Okay. Someone said, "Is it like Gumby?"
I mean, like yeah, yeah. I
Because
guess
it's stop motion animation, right? It was called El Chaparrin, Colorado, and it meant like red grasshopper.
yeah.
Uh,
Colorado means color red.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So I looked that up, and I was like, okay, the red grasshopper. So I was like, oh, blue beetle, red grasshopper. Okay, cool, little reference. I get that. That's pretty cool. So I like that. Somebody says the problem with the him not having clothes every time he transformed might be because him and the kaiji are not in sync yet. So maybe once they're in sync, they won't burn his clothes off.
Oh, I'm sure that they'll figure this. Yeah, I'm sure there will be a line of dialogue in
Yeah.
the next time we see him that'll be like, "So glad we figured out the closeometer."
Yes. The closeometer.
The thing that Jenny says that like they just kind of they take that information and then they don't do anything with it is like this is a world destroying weapon.
Yeah.
Like, uh, do we maybe like want to worry about what this means if it's controlling it? Because at this point they think it's controlling Jaime. Like
Right.
Jaime's not in control of it. So what you have a world, there's a reason that Green Lantern knocked it off course,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's potentially, he's a walking, even worse than an atom bomb. Like,
Yeah.
he is the full Barbenheimer. It's not even Oppenheimer
He is the Barbenheimer. That's so funny. All right. So that was really, really cool. So they steal a smartwatch and they ran into Carabax and they have their first fight with Carabax, which I thought was really good. And then Jaime's like, wait, don't kill him. Don't kill him. Yeah. Like, I can't, like, we don't kill here. So one of those, again, another superhero trope, we don't kill. So I think is, going pretty well. And then they fight him. What do you think about that first fight scene?
I gotta say, like, it's the one thing that always like rubs me the wrong way in superhero movies. Is like, bro, you gotta kill him. Like, he's trying to kill you. Like, and he's got a super powered suit. Like, you have to kill him.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I could feel in the script the kind of like thinness of getting the watch. Like, even they're like, that was really easy.
Yeah.
It's almost, they almost needed to look at the screen and be like, that was weird. But the fight scene, like it's not going to go well. Like, he's got to get knocked down,
Right.
and see the limitations and so that he can do better later. I kind of wish it wasn't a matchup like, I don't know. I kind of wish it was more fun in games than meeting the final boss in the middle of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Iron Man fought Ironmonger in the middle of the movie, it'd be like, yeah, I mean, it's not quite the same as like fighting Ironmonger at the end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, like, I feel like in this case it kind of worked because they wanted to give the villain an arc too, right? Which we find out at the
Right.
very end he gets an arc. So, bringing him out at the very end, you don't have enough time to stay with the character to feel that arc. So I don't mind that they did that. I did like how they Uncle Rudy kind of saved him, and then they got into the car and they go into their mansion apparently
Yeah.
has been abandoned for years, which it's been kept up pretty nicely, and it's really funny. And you see a picture of Ted Cord, like a painting, like an oil painting. And this is where a lot of people think that it was Jason Sudeikis, because
Hmm.
it did look a lot like Jason Sudeikis. I
Yes,
don't
it
know if it
did.
was him, but it did look a lot like him. Um, so I thought that was funny. And then they finally go into the Beetle Cave, and Uncle Rudy is super excited about that. And he's like, oh my God, Ted Cord was Blue Beetle. He's like the Flash, but not as cool. Like,
Yeah, I love the connections to the greater universe that we get in this scene. Like it's the
yeah,
whole Batman was a fascist line and all
that's
of that.
so funny. I
Yeah.
had to think about that. I was like, is Batman really a fascist? I'm like, I don't know if I buy that. I feel
I
like
mean,
Batman, like, he beats up the guys, but then he leaves them for the cops. It's up to the cops to arrest them, right?
yeah, there are versions of Batman, like, where he's kind of like, especially like older Batman, where he's
Yeah,
where he's like an old man, where he's almost like ruling Gotham by fear. Like it's
yeah,
is it Kingdom Come, where that's like the Batman drones going through the streets, and like so there's like no crime because everyone's just deathly afraid of the bat drones, which
that is definitely one of the versions of
yeah,
Batman.
like he
For me,
basically
like,
makes Gotham a fascist state.
well, and I think of Batman, my go-to Batman is Batman the animated series. That's my
Oh
go-to
yeah.
Batman, right? And that's the Batman that does like charity for the people. Like, he'll beat up like the ventriloquist, but also hire him and give him a job
Right.
or on in Wayne Tech, right? He does these kind of things. And like, he'll never like be judge, jury, and executioner. He'll just like wrap up the criminal for you, beat them up, and then leave all the clues there for you
Yeah.
to arrest him, right? And if Gotham decides to put him in jail that he can escape from, that's on Gotham. That's not on me. To me, that's the opposite of a fascist. But I could
For
see some
sure.
versions of him totally being a fascist. So it depends on which version of Batman we get.
Right, right. We don't know what universe we're in, for all we know.
We could be in
We're,
George Clooney's universe for
yeah,
all we
right, yeah,
know.
right. We have no idea, for all
So
we know.
Val Kilmer, he's like, I stopped pulling my punches.
I had one rule, but I broke it so many times. I'm terrible at rules.
Yeah. Oh man, Michael said older Batman definitely turned into Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino. He was just racist the whole time. Oh man. All right. So yeah, they're in this little batch cave, or not bat cave, but like whatever, beetle cave, whatever.
Beetle, you know how beetles have caves? Yeah.
I don't know what it is, right? And they find their ship, which looks a lot like the owl ship from Watchmen, if
Hmm.
you've watched the Watchmen. And then
Yeah.
I learned that it was actually Blue Beetle that inspired Night Owl from the
Right.
Watchmen. So that was really, really cool. So that was really cool that we got to see that. Um,
I like the idea that Ted Cord, that his tech works sometimes. Because
yeah,
it automatically put like a limitation on everything where you're like, okay, they don't have like magic weapons. This is
right.
going to sometimes not work. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. And it's, I mean, it's also funny. Like, it's a funny idea of like, oh, the thing I need to work is not working. But
Hmm.
this other thing that is remarkable for having been built, whatever, 20 years ago, like the light glove, the power glove, the Nintendo power glove that turns into like
Yes.
a pimp hand. Like, that's amazing.
I love that. Another Miss Marvel reference that I saw. The way the hand gets big, like in
Oh
Biggin.
yeah, yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, another little Miss Marvel thing, which I thought was really, really cool. Yeah, I thought that was really, really fun. Let's see. Oh, this is one line where he goes like, he's like, oh, so it's an alien, and he turns, but I don't like the term alien. That was a fun little joke from George Lopez.
Hmm.
All right, so there were some really cool moments where, like, he decides that like they realize they can't separate Jaime from the Scarab.
Hmm.
And some of them are like, hey, it's cool, man. We get our own superhero. And he's kind of like, I don't really want to be a superhero, right? So, which is also a trope. Like,
Yes, yeah. It's almost like he's rejecting the call. Yeah.
So I think that's really, really funny. But he finds out that, Victoria Cord is going after his family. So he jumps off the thing, very much like Shazam, where Shazam in the first one jumps up into Shazam, but he knows that the Beetle won't ever let him die, so he just jumps off, and it has it complete, and then boom, he goes off. This is where the movie gets super sad for me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like they did such a good job of really making it feel like an ice raid. Uh, the way they were just raiding in that
Yeah.
person's house,
Yeah.
it was scary. And I don't know. That's something like it's really hard for me to imagine. Like it's probably just terrifying. And then you see like the anxiety that his dad go through at that time, who has a bad heart.
Yeah.
Um, these are real life things, man. This is like real life. I'm so glad they put the scene in there. It was a very important scene, and it definitely, it made me swell up a little bit. It made me like cry. It was pretty hard to watch, especially when you realize the dad had passed away. What are
Man.
your thoughts about that scene?
So yeah, I think you're hitting on exactly what they were going for. Like it does feel like a government raid of some
Right.
sort into this, especially because it's this community. And if I'm not mistaken, this neighborhood, like these houses, this is Puerto Rico where they shot this, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and like these little houses, like it's not like it everything feels like very Latino. Like it feels like
Yeah.
this is a neighborhood of these people,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that they're just coming into this community and they're just doing whatever they want, and they're going to let a man die in the
Yep.
street. And they're just going to take a guy. They're just going to take Jaime, and that's going to be okay. Like no one's going to do anything about it. It's terrifying, and I mean,
Mm.
and we've lived through some terrifying times of our own where I mean, like I know that I've seen like on neighborhood Facebook pages or whatever, especially in the prior administration, being like, "Hey, there are ice raids going on
Hmm.
in this area, so like get out of there." Like
Wow.
I've definitely passed those messages along. Where like, "Hey, ICE is posted up on Cicero and Diversey, so get out, like get out of there, stay away from there."
Yeah.
So like it does ring true, and that is a good example of using the superhero like milieu to point a finger at, to hold a mirror up to society and say,
Hmm.
this is something we do. It
Right.
doesn't have to be super powered people. This is something we do to people.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure, man. So they take Jaime to Pogo Island, I believe, which is supposed to be somewhere in Cuba. I think
Hmm.
that's where that island is supposed to be. Uh, and they attach Jaime to this machine. Uh, and he goes into the spirit world where he kind of just like talks to his dad, and him and the Kaji or the Scarab finally get in tune with each other, and they're ready to kick some butt. So he gets free. But while that's happening, Jenny and Nana and what you call the mom and the sister are all getting together, trying to find a way to kind of get them out.
Hmm.
So they go and they get this little owl copter thing, and they're going to get him out. At the same time, Jaime is getting powered up, and he kind of breaks free of the thing that he was trapped in. Shout out to uh, Sanchez, whose name was not Sanchez, apparently, who freed him. I like that that scene where he was like, "Yo, I gotta stick up for my peoples, man." and he let.
I really thought he was going to make it. I thought he was going to make it.
I
I was
know.
sure, like, you got Harvey Guillen to be in this movie, and then like I was for sure like, oh, he's going to be their like gadgets guy in the
Yeah,
future of this franchise, and that just did not work out that way.
yeah. Someone said he was underutilized. He was underutilized, but he was
He
still the
was.
MVP though. He was still an MVP in this
Yeah.
scene. I really, really loved it.
My kids know him from a Nickelodeon show called The Thundermans, which is like a superhero sitcom for kids on Nickelodeon, and
Oh, okay.
he plays like the uncle, and
Yeah.
I forget what his superpower is, but he's like fabulously wealthy. He's like their rich uncle, but he's also got like superpowers. I
Oh,
forget what
that's
his
so
power is.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So they knew him from that.
That's
So
funny.
yeah,
All right, that's
I
pretty
like
cool. I
the,
didn't know that.
this is also the second movie that I saw in a row because the last movie I saw was Mutant Mayhem. Have you seen Mutant Mayhem?
No, I have not seen that yet.
Okay. I
I
will
gotta see
like
this soon.
there is a similar plot point that
Okay.
I'm just gonna tell, like, I'll just give a hint to people out there. Milk. And that's all I'm gonna say. If you've seen Mutant Mayhem, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it was like, oh, they're doing this. Interesting. It's the same plot point.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully I'll watch it up and then I'll get
Oh,
that.
you'll be like, oh
Reference.
yeah. And also like this island, this looks like there is a fort. So Puerto Rico is, a Spanish colony.
Yeah.
There there are forts on the coastlines.
Hmm.
The most like famous one is in San Juan. It's called El Morro, and it. I mean, like this building looks exactly like it. Like it's got the same like kind of watchtower edifice thing in the front, and like that's like a symbol for Puerto Ricans. Like that, like if you show anyone like that window tower of
Hmm.
El Morro, they'll be like, oh yeah, like yeah, Puerto Rico. What Puerto Rico in the house? So it was cool to see that. I was like, oh yeah, this is like I can tell this director is Puerto Rican
Hmm.
because he's made some choices here.
Yeah. All right. That's very cool. All right. Then an entire fight breaks out, and this was one of the best parts of the movie, where they're just going through these caves and they're just like fighting people. We mentioned that the sister had that embiggen hand and she fights people with it. The grandmother has a Gatling gun. She just comes out. What she says like down with the imperialists.
Yeah, she goes full on like she's a Zapatista, right? She fought in the Mexican Revolution. How old is
Yeah.
she? Like, is this like
Yeah.
a Magneto situation where like no matter what, she's just always going to be old enough to have fought in the Mexican Revolution?
It's so funny. It's like whatchamacallit. Yeah, we don't talk about what Nana did.
Yeah,
she
right.
was about that life, which is what
Yeah,
Michael just said. Michael's like, yeah, Nana was about
it
that
was
life.
about that life.
You don't
Yeah,
know how she played.
that was very funny.
Oh man, that was really, really cool. We also and then Carabax gets his like full power.
Yeah.
And he starts fighting, and it becomes like a really, really tough fight. So that becomes really, really cool. What did you think of the final battle between Carabax and Jaime?
I mean, it reminded me a lot of the end of Iron Man. It's like we're
Yeah.
just gonna fight. She fought with
She
Che.
fought with
There
Jay.
you go. Okay. Um, but yeah, like it reminded me of the third act of Iron Man, where it's like Iron Man's gonna fight a bigger, badder Iron Man.
Yeah,
And that's a it's classic. But I I liked how the family was all part of it. They're all
yeah,
there. They've all got their part, and how right at the end, as it looks like, I think Carapax is even saying like, you don't deserve this power. Like I've got this power, and I'm a grown man, and I understand what to do with it. You don't know what to do with this power. And then Uncle Rudy comes up from like out of nowhere and distracts him.
yeah,
Like and it's like, okay, the family's gonna help. They're not just gonna like happen to have been there. They're helping with this goal.
right.
Yeah, I thought I really like dug all of that. I liked the idea that that he gets, Jaime gets free,
Yeah.
and he goes to the ancestral plane because we got to hit all of the Marvel tropes.
The
He goes to the
ancestral
he goes to the ancestral plane, and he sees his dad, just like all of them. That's crazy. But he comes to terms with the scarab, which I wish was a bigger conflict. Like I wish that they had like a fight, a full on like you
Yeah,
know live together kind of thing, so that this coming together moment feels a little deeper. But it whatever, it is what it is. But I like that. Yes, they get together and he has his power up, but in the meantime, he's already given so much juice to the bad guy that it's going to
yeah.
be like you're not getting out that easy. I really dug that, and I also loved the bug when they're all like just taking out all of the guards. Like,
Oh yeah.
it goes into kill mode.
Little Spider-Man kill mode, another trope.
On him. Yeah, I loved all of that. I thought that was all great.
Yeah. I do want to say, when we talked about the Scarab having a little bit more of a fight with Jaime, I think the thing that really did it was when the mom spoke not to Jaime, she spoke to the Scarab.
Yeah.
When an immigrant mom talks to you, I don't care if you're a Scarab, if you're a Green Lantern ring, if you're an Iron Man suit, you're gonna do your job. And then it was really, really cool. As soon as she did that, the next time Jaime suits up, the Blue Beetle responds in Spanish,
In
which I thought
Spanish.
was so cool. I
Yeah.
love that. That was so dope.
It becomes a character in that last
Yeah.
that last part of the movie. I wish it had been a character the whole time, is all, because it's kind of almost like it's got less personality than Jarvis most of the
Yeah.
way, and then at the end it becomes like Miguel O'Hara's AI,
Yeah.
and for the last part. I wish it was just that the whole time.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Something else that I want to talk about. We talked about how Karapak being a product of the Reagan era Contra training worked for me. I totally agree with that, Michael. Not
Yeah.
only did I think that was really, really well done and really gave us like a little bit of sympathy for the main villain, and I love the way where like once he gets his memory back, he kind of just like changes his mind and doesn't fight Jaime anymore. Uh, those were actually real news footage that they used in his flashbacks. Those
Oh
are
wow.
real events that happened that the director used. They weren't made for the show. They took them from real news footage,
I mean,
which is
I definitely knew School of the Americas, which they name dropped a few times,
yeah,
and they made sure, to say School of the Americas more than a few times, so that hopefully people got out of the theater. I was like, I wonder if that's even a thing. And then like Google
yeah,
the Americas, because yeah, like that, it's a very real thing, and it's totally fucked up.
yeah.
And yeah, like when I was in high school, I know that I went to a Jesuit high school, so the priests were all Jesuits, and they're all very big on social justice. And they arranged for protests at the School of the Americas. Like there was like, hey, there's going to be a trip. Make sure you get your parent to sign your permission slip.
Yeah, yeah.
Protest the School of the Americas.
That's so funny.
Like over spring break or whatever. And I know Martin Sheen has been arrested a few times protesting at the School of the Americas.
Oh wow.
It's a real thing. And so when they name dropped it, I was actually surprised, and it led me to believe like, oh, we're never going to get like U.S. military equipment in any of these movies. It's always going to look like high tech, metal,
Yeah.
because the military is never going to allow a movie that's name dropping things like this, eras. They're never going to let them use like fighter jets and tanks and whatnot.
Yeah, the military industry complex has their hooks in a lot of these movies. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not surprised there. All right, so what happens is Carabax decides to self-destruct, and Jaime has a I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you moment, like from Batman. It's like, all right, I'm out. And then she apparently dies. And then Jenny's like not too shaken up over it. She's like, all right, well, good. Now I take over Port Industries. I'm gonna put things back the way they were, and I'm going to buy the Rays back their house and fix their house and stuff. Which I thought was a cool moment. Like all the families came out to the little funeral barbecue or whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool. I like that. And then Jaime gets the girl and they go off. What are your thoughts about that ending?
Okay. Did you not think like she's going to invite them to live in her giant empty mansion? Like I was like, you guys have they literally just brought her in for the group hug when they,
Yeah.
because that's also a great moment. Like, dad dies and grandma's like, we need to cry, but not right now. Right now, we've got other stuff to do. Like, and so, this is her military, like this is her revolution, kicking in, and they go and do their stuff. And as soon as they're successful, all right, now we can cry. And they cry together, and they bring her in, even though they had been kind of outcasting her the whole movie because everything is her fault.
Yeah.
They bring her in. And so she's part of the family. And so I fully expected like, oh yeah, this is like, this is Chekhov's empty house. Like they've destroyed this house. This house is huge and free.
Yeah.
And it's, like it would be an upgrade. And we know that there's a superhero lair and he's a superhero. Like,
right.
But no, apparently like they're gonna take it real slow, and they're just like not gonna she's not going to move in.
Yeah. Michael said they went from gentrification to gentrification.
To hentification.
And gentrification.
Hentification. I love it.
That's funny.
You gotta have Michael on. Shout out to Mike. This is
we gotta
MTF
get
from
him
the
on.
this is MTF from the Racial Draft Podcast, and Jazz and I are both players in the Racial Draft Podcast.
All right, we gotta get him on. I'm gonna try to get him on for something.
You gotta get this guy on. He's a star. I love Mike.
He's hilarious. He's been on like the last 3 episodes, and he's been awesome.
He's amazing.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back, talk about the post-credit scene, and talk about some Easter eggs and some of our other favorite scenes from this movie, and then we'll wrap up the show. So we'll be right back after these messages. And we're back. All right, guys, listen. This movie, we just went through the whole thing. Some of our favorite parts. I want to go through the end credits. So the end credits, basically, there's 2 end credits. One, we see the return of the red grasshopper. He shows back up, which is like a little fun little end credit scene.
So it's interesting though, like because he's a live action character, like in our universe. Like,
yes,
it's a little old man in a red like suit. So yeah, it's interesting that he shows up as like a claymation.
Yeah.
Only. Yeah, it was interesting.
That is funny. All right. So the other post-credit scene, we see Ted Kord saying, "Hey, I'm here. Whoever turned this on, let my daughter know I'm here." What do you think that has to do with the future?
Well, he's in the quantum realm because we need to hit all of the Marvel.
There's a lot of Ant-Man stuff in this movie, like stealing the suit, a bug suit, falling in love with the daughter of the guy who made the suit. Yep. It's just like all of this stuff. There's a lot of Ant-Man references in here.
Yeah, a crazy Mexican character, like, it's so clearly, when they were hinting at Ted Kord the entire movie, you just knew, like, one of these end credit scenes is going to be about Ted Kord,
right?
And as soon as as soon as they get to her house, I'm looking all around me, like, all right, show me Jason Sudeikis. Like, I fully expected it to be a full-on Jason Sudeikis reveal. Yeah. What do I think going forward? Honestly, I don't know, because I don't know the state of DC, but I really hope that they're leaning in on Blue Beetle, the Blue Beetle family, and having Ted Kord there and bringing in then Booster Gold. Like, I'm here for it. Like, I would love, give me Jason Sudeikis as Blue Beetle and Will Forte as Booster Gold, and I'm in. Like, I would watch that all day.
There are rumors of a Booster Gold show in development, so that might not be far off. But here's my theory. I don't think they're stuck in the quantum realm. I think it might actually be stuck in the future, and that's where he's going to meet Booster Gold, and Booster Gold and Ted are going to be in the future fighting crime, whatever, and then coming back to see their daughter. I think that's exactly
right. I think. I think he had some hijinks with Booster Gold. Yeah. And they got stuck in he knew him here and they got stuck in the future. Like, that's what I think. I'm interested too to see, like, is there any tie to, like, is Jenny's mom someone, like, was she a superhero as well? Yeah. Like
could be. We don't know.
Yeah, there are Brazilian DC superheroes, so
that is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
I actually just drafted one in the Racial Draft podcast. So I drafted Beatrice DaCosta, otherwise known as Fire of Fire and Ice. So
cool. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Yeah. I don't know. The other theory is that he went to space and he is captured by the Reach.
I mean, this is kind of the beauty of it. Like, you can go anywhere. It could be anything.
Yeah.
I kind of hope they keep it. I really just want to see Will Forte as Booster Gold. I want to see Will Forte and Jason Sudeikis make a movie together. But yeah, I think that I'm happy that James Gunn is going to be deciding what's going on with this. Yeah. So it's not like he's been captured by Darkseid and now he must kill Darkseid or be killed by
Darkseid.
Yeah, or be killed by Darkseid in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Like, R.I.P. Jimmy Olsen. Like, I'm glad that it's James Gunn making this decision.
Yeah. All
Because I
right.
think
That's
he would
cool.
work. I think James Gunn. If I was giving a blue Beetle to James Gunn to play with,
Hmm.
it would be Ted Cord. It would not, like I would be like, play with this guy. He's a mismatched toy. Have fun with this one.
Yeah.
So I hope that I hope that he's thinking of including everything that happened in this film into the canon of the new universe.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I Let's talk about some fun Easter eggs because
Okay.
there were a few Easter eggs, and we talked about a lot of them already. Sometimes we just talk about them while we're talking.
My favorite
Uh,
Easter egg was that the only building I could spot in Palmyra City was the Ally Bank. Did you notice
ah,
that? I was like, oh,
Ally,
it was
really?
Ally Bank paid good money for product placement. It's like the
That's
only,
so
yeah,
funny.
it's the only product that I fully recognize. I was like, I know Ally Bank. I bank with
Yeah,
Ally Bank. Yeah.
that's so funny. Well, speaking of the buildings, there were two more buildings that I recognized. One was Ace Chemicals, which is
Yes. Yes.
where the Joker gets his powers from or
Hmm.
whatever. And LexCorp, there was a LexCorp building there too.
Yeah.
So we got two references, which I thought were really cool.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
gonna be one that like this movie's gonna. I feel like this is gonna be one of those. It's like it's on TNT all the time. Like don't you
yeah,
feel like it's just gonna be one of those that's on repeat on a Sunday,
yep,
and I'm just gonna pause it and be like, all right, read the skyline. What does it say? Like what's in there?
yeah. Um, and then when we see Jaime for the first time, he have a black graduation cap on with the yellow tassel, and that's because he graduated from Gotham University. So he was in Gotham studying pre-law. I
Yeah,
w-
he's got a
yeah,
Gotham U hoodie. Yeah.
I wonder if Harvey Dent was one of his like teachers or something like
Oh,
that. That'd be really interesting, right?
yeah.
One of his classes.
I was thinking. I wonder if Dick Grayson was one of his classmates.
Mm,
That'd be kind of cool to see, like a team up. If you go and
yeah,
do Titans in the future, I wouldn't mind.
yeah.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah, Michael just mentioned in the comments. I could see Jaime hanging out with Teen Titans type team. Yeah, I totally
Hmm.
could see that for sure.
Yep.
Some other cool Easter eggs. When the newspapers were talking about Ted Cord and stuff, one of the papers was the Daily Planet.
Oh, I
It's
didn't
not,
even notice that. Of
yeah, it was the
course, of
Daily
course.
Planet, and it was like Ted Cord. Oh no, it was like Blue Beetle fights Fire Fist, which is like a random bad guy, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, Also, the mom, the grandmother, is watching a Spanish TV show, and there's a golden scarab in there, and that's
Oh,
from a movie called Kronos by Guillermo del Toro.
oh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah, and it's about like a scarab that like attacks people or something. I don't know.
that's
And
interesting.
another cool reference, the burger case that she puts the scarab in is Big Belly Burger, and it's a very popular burger chain in DC Comics. We've also seen it mentioned many times in the Arrowverse on Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. It gets mentioned quite a bit. So Big Belly Burger gets a cool mention.
It's been a minute. I checked out of the. I only watched the Flash and I didn't watch Arrow. I didn't watch Legends of Tomorrow. What was the other one?
Supergirl,
I did watch Supergirl. I watched Black Lightning.
Black
Uh,
Lightning. Okay.
yeah, and it's been a minute. I didn't finish any of it. I don't know
Okay.
how the Flash ends. Does he run? Does he keep running?
Yeah, he keeps running. That's the ending. It's I've watched it all. I don't recommend watching it all, but like I would recommend watching the crossovers. The crossovers are pretty cool.
Yeah, the one that was like the Crisis on Infinite Earths was like
Yeah,
where they bring back like the reporter from Batman '89. I was like, wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah. It was really cool. All right. So let's see. Oh, the voice of the Scarab is Becky G.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
really cool. Cool little
yeah. Which
thing.
is again like, why wasn't like I just wish she was more of a character in the first 2/3 of this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let her play.
Also, we talked about the red grasshopper. Did you know that the red grasshopper from this reference at the end of the credits or whatever this show is, it's actually what inspired the Bumblebee Man from The Simpsons.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a reference that like every Latino saw The Simpsons. It was like,
Yeah.
I know what they're referencing here. Yeah,
Dude, I
yeah,
had
yeah,
no
yeah,
idea.
yeah,
I
yeah,
had no idea. It's so wild.
yeah.
That's bizarre. And the last Easter egg, the director says there were some Oreos left on the counter, and those Oreos are an Easter egg. And apparently, Oreos are the favorite food or snack of Green, the Martian Manhunter.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's supposed to signify that Martian Manhunter and Ted Kord have gone on some adventures.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So these
So
are some cool Easter eggs for you
now we
guys.
need James Gunn to be like, and actually, this character was Martian Manhunter the whole
The
time.
whole
Like,
time, yes. That would be really cool. I wouldn't be mad at
I mean,
that.
that's what Zack Snyder did. He was like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Harry Lennox was totally Martian Manhunter,
yeah,
because I
yeah.
said so. So let me make my movie.
That's so funny. I would totally believe it. But yes, that's the end of the Easter egg. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Carlos, let people know where they can find you.
I am at Carlos Freitas Jr. on Twitter, X, Twix, whatever we're calling it these days. And you can find my writing on agentsoffandom.com. We're a wonderful group of a merry band of thieves. I don't know what I was going with that. Like we're just good people who write stuff about comics and stuff.
Yeah.
And you can also find me generally winning the Racial Draft podcast.
Ooh.
MTF runs it, so I'm not stepping on any toes here. He's the commish, but I win a lot, so I'm a
Okay.
pretty big deal around those parts. So.
All right. Very cool. And also special shout out to MTF for joining us in the comments, Derpy Entertainment for joining us in the comments. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys bringing in all the jokes and all the comments. Definitely makes it a lot more fun and lively. And also, one more shout out to Jazz. Send him some good vibes. He's gone through it. And hopefully we'll have him back on when he's feeling a little bit better. But until next time, guys, Salaam nerds.